Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Momentum Finance Channel. Today on the podcast, we got a very special guest, a Blossom investor who's built a financial freedom by living simply, investing wisely, and focusing on what really matters. He's 44, mortgage-free, debt-free, and makes over $3,500 a month in dividends and interest, all while living a frugal lifestyle, which he describes as a cheap, and Cookie Monster fun. And speaking of Cookie Monster, in true spirit, I won't be showing his face today. Instead, Cookie Monster will be here answering the questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Mo. And I'm just going to shout out to everyone. Hey, Coaching Gang, what's going on? Let's go.
Yeah, let's go, indeed. Collin, I know before we hit the record, you did mention that you would at some point maybe share with us a little bit why you decided that you're gonna not show your face. So maybe we'll start there and we'll get going through the rest of the questions.
Yeah. So in like the aspect of my life, we have a lot of people in our life that don't, income is different for everyone. That some people are very well off, some people are very not well off. And it just kind of makes things a little tougher when you're going out with some people that are really good friends and they don't really know what kind of financial you have, and to kind of advertise out there what I have kind of makes it a little awkward, and it kind of makes it in a perspective that you just don't want to have that ever between friends or family that money matters. And I think the biggest thing that I've ever learned about money with family or friends is from a movie with Denzel Washington. I think it's called American Gangster. And nobody knew about him as Frank White until his wife bought him a big flashy coat at a boxing event in the first row. And he was always a guy that wasn't flashy. He didn't want to advertise who he was. And that's how the police ultimately found out who he was, because he was in the front row and he was flashy and he regretted it right afterwards. So I'm the same way. I just like to have fun. I invest, but it's just I never want that to be a thing in my life. I just always want to have fun and just be real with people instead of trying to be kind of flashy and stuff like that.
Understand. And we appreciate that. Thank you so much for accepting my invite nonetheless. And I'm glad that we are managing to make it work. Speaking of fun, Cookie Monster fun especially seems to be a phrase you live by. What does it mean to you in terms of investing and your life philosophy?
So a couple of things. So the first thing is, when I was growing up, like a teenager, I always thought I was like a gangster. I listened to my favorite artist of all time is Tupac Shakur. And I remember when I first listened to his music and I kept hearing thug life, thug life, thug life. And I always thought it was like, I'm going to kill you or shoot you or blah, blah, blah. But he called it a different way of life, that he wanted to bring people up and he wanted to empower people and take them out of what were known as, poverty and stuff like that. He wanted to make them realize that things can be better. Um, my investing journey, I first started out in penny stocks, which I think I'm fairly good at them now, but there is so much negativity and so much bashing that's involved with it. And 100% you don't even know if they're scams or not scams. And um, when I first joined Blossom, I started seeing a lot of posts about people saying that when they put out their views, there was a lot of people that went at them in the comments. So to me, Cookie Gang or Cookie Life, it's just all about positivity. There's people that are on the chat that homeschool, and I see how great of a mom they are. There's Jared that I call my thug life. That everything he does to me is positive, and that's Cookie Gang to me. So people might look at it and be like, "Is this guy for real?" And it's not that I you can look at me. I'm not like a 700-pound cookie eating monster machine, but um, I just want to empower people. This is something that people should be excited about. If anybody is being negative, it's just a way maybe them processing it. But at the end of the day, I want to be there and make positivity. And that's what Cookie Gang is to me.
I love that. That positivity and empowering each other through the journey. It can be lonely. This is like the journey to becoming financially independent, the journey to be becoming wealthy, the journey to improving our lives can be lonely at times, but the beauty of Blossom bringing older people, why not use that as a positive platform to help each other as opposed to trying to judge each other? That's not what we are there for. And to your comment as well, there are different ways to get to the end goal. And just because my way might be different from yours doesn't mean that you're wrong or I'm right. It's not about that at all.
I think at the end of the day, if it's not even about an end goal or what it's that they're there. And that's the difference is in Canada or even the US, people that are real investors in Canada and stuff is not a lot. So like people that are on that group or people that are just out there just, even just investing a couple dollars a month in an ETF or whatever it is, that's positive. So to bash somebody, that's not cookie game. And that's not what it's about. It's that's why I changed it up. And I've had some people, and knows who he is, calls me the Warren Buffett because he keeps thinking that I pull money out of my butt. But yeah, so that's how I got the Colin Buffett, and then I switched it up to cookie game. So it's just like I said, investing's fun. Being around other investors are fun. But I know the problem is like I said, with my face and stuff like that, when you exit out of that world, it's kind of tough. Like I've showed a really good friend of mine. I made the mistake one day of showing him what I had, and ultimately it made a huge gap between us. And that's the thing is you want to keep the positive going, but anybody on that Blossom chat that is plus and negativity, like no offense, like you're just making what the world is already bringing into something so positive. So it's
I hear
I
you.
would just stop doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you've mentioned that life is built around experiences as well as low cost. Um, you have one car, secondhand purchases, cheap cell phones. How has this lifestyle essentially allowed you to improve upon your financial independence and financial freedom journey?
So, okay, so this is the biggest, probably out of my whole interview. This is going to be the biggest thing because how I made my first $100,000 not investing. And it was not doing what people are putting lump sums of money, putting hope in the stock market that it's going to go up. And my wife will see this interview afterwards, and I'm going to give her a lot of props. She helps me a lot with stuff that having a good partner in your life does help a lot with what you do. Um, how our journey started was kind of like everyone else. You have two good jobs, and you you start living your life, and you start looking at, and you're poor, and it's like, where's all my money going? So my wife, like I got some papers here. My wife, and this is a spreadsheet, okay, and like this is some stuff that I wanted to show new investors, married couples, parents with kids, everything else. What we did was we took everything per month from food to clothes to coffee to going out drinking, how much car purchases, and we track it over 1 year. And we would look at it and be like, like we'd look at a sheet here, like an example of diapers. For my child, we spend like $55 a month. Okay, so we track everything per month. We went 1 year and then we sat down, my wife and I, and we said, wow, like we're just wasting money for absolutely nothing. And we started looking at like certain things like having two cars. And you take two cars. And I know some people wrote me comments, and you're out there, everyone, that you're like, if I don't have two cars, I can't live without my car. But what we did was we realized that a car per month with a payment, insurance, fuel, and then if you track it over a year with maintenance,
Mhm.
was almost 1,000 to 1,200 bucks a month. And we looked at that and we're like, we could take $1,200, get rid of one car, go get some bus tickets. And if we ever had to, like me, I have no problem taking a bus. Hop on a bus. I go to the place with one of my sons or whatever, like my son or whatever it is, and my wife will take the car. They'll come pick me up afterwards with whatever it is. A bus pass costs $80 a month,
Hmm.
$1,200 for a car. So when we turn around, you add that up, even if you track it in 10 months, that's
Huge.
$12,000.
Yeah.
And then, so we just kept sliding it down. So we went like with our cell phones, we tracked it over a year. And this is the biggest thing I'll give anybody with advice is if you can take all this time to learn investing, do your due diligence on your bills because you're just throwing money down the drain. We phoned Rogers, we phoned Telus, we phoned Bell. We talked to all three of them. We never sat once and went, "Oh, if you guys don't give me a good deal, we're gonna leave." We had great conversations with them. We were paying $230 a month for cell phones for basic cell phones. We now have brand new Pixels. We have Canada, US free, unlimited, and we're under $110 a month. We eliminated a full cell phone per month. So when we went through our electricity bill, our gas, all of our bills, we're saving almost $20,000 a year. So then we turn around in 5 years and we're like, holy cow, we got $100,000 now in our bank account. And we did nothing, nothing. So then we took that $100,000, we threw it on our mortgage and we kept doing it.
Smart.
And now it's all paid off. So when people were looking at like young investors and even family members, you're worried about how much money you got to make investing or how much money you're going to dump in the stock market. But you have so much money. It's just people think that if they give up one card, you're giving up everything. You can't go anywhere. It's just,
That's not
you
true. Great
gotta,
point.
yeah, you just gotta understand how fast you can make money with understanding that the necessities is not something you need. And like, I'll give you an example. My daughter, she's 9 months old. You said, use clothes. So when she was first born, we went to like baby stores
Yeah.
and it was like 9, $10, 11, 20, $25. So we went on Facebook Marketplace. We found a lady that had clothes from like 0 to almost 1 year. She had three huge garbage bags. It cost me $25.
Wow.
Any washer that's at least the last 5 years old has a sanitize cycle. You
Yeah.
pop it in, you clean them. My daughter used all the clothes. We just phoned her and she's like, hey, I got clothes all the way to 2T now. You guys want them? Yeah, we're gonna go get them. Another $20. And afterwards, we donate all the clothes because we don't have to make money on it. So it's just that's the difference is it's not about being frugal with our lives. It's just we're making so much wealth by just sacrificing little tiny things that don't even matter.
Makes definitely makes you think. And Colin, at one point you said that we're not doing much. I would say you're making very smart decisions actually, like the ones that for a typical person sometimes we are hesitant to make because you're trying to you're actually differentiating between the needs versus wants. Sure, it wouldn't that be easy to have two cars? Absolutely. But when you looked at your finances, when you looked at the impact that it has and how much further ahead you would be if you make that deliberate decision, you made that choice of, it's actually better for our family, it's better. And to your point, to be honest with you, for many families, being smart about those. I loved how you supported that with data, though. You didn't make just random decisions. You actually
No,
tracked your expenses and saw what are some of those biggest drains on your monthly budget and how can you essentially relook into those same circumstances. In the case of your phone, you probably didn't really lose on a lot of those amenities. If anything, you might have just by searching around and finding the right options, probably got the same, if not better, service, but ended up maybe with not going with a big cell phone company. Is that the case,
yeah.
possibly?
And that's the funny thing is we still stayed with Telus. And
Yeah. Oh,
when we talked to Telus, it was just like I'll give you one example real fast. So my wife, she took I can't remember if it's Epcor or which one it is, but my wife took um our bills over a whole year, and it showed what our rate was and everything else. And I know you can look online, but we really wanted to track it with our data. So when we phoned them, we said we want to get into a fixed plan. And they went to us and said, well, we got this rate. And my wife was like, nah, that's not our rate. And they asked us, what do you mean? And my wife said, I can email you a copy of what I think my rate should be. And I have the data showing on an Excel sheet with the graph and everything else. So we emailed it to them. They came back to us and signed us up to a 5-year rate. And my wife said, why did you do this? And they say, because you actually took the time. We just get people that call us angry and pissed off and saying, give me this. You guys did what you had to do. And it's like, that's the point is like, when you take like when people look at me and I drive down the road, I like one lady was like on Blossom, she's like, I couldn't live your life. Like, don't get me wrong, like I'm not sitting here driving like a 1992 car. Like I have a brand new Hyundai Santa Fe hybrid electrical vehicle. It's just you can afford these vehicles down the road a bit when you
you've
accumulate
made it.
that money. Yeah, it's and we still like you even us we were somewhere and my wife was like this person was like yes this much money. My wife's like yeah, can you get like give me 20% off? And it's you just never stop. It's just because you have money. Just because someone has a portfolio that says $5 million, it doesn't mean they have $5 million. If they can't control a spending, they don't have $5 million.
I love that. I love that. And this is a nice segue because you did mention like, doesn't mean that because you have that mindset of like being deliberate about your cost that you don't want to also enjoy life either. And I know recently you posted on Blossom whereby you visited Costco and then you felt like Gollum walking out of Costco with a 65-inch TV. You talked about how you enjoy watching sports, hockey, I believe, on it. How do you balance between that concept of frugality and being cautious about the spending versus also occasional splurge in life to family enjoyment?
So, okay, so I'll get into some other stuff. Like I promised on my post today, I was going to get into some family savings and some information. So when I buy a TV, I look at it first of all, how good of a deal am I going to get? Because I can walk into Costco, if people just load up TVs, I'll go like 700 times. And it's like, I'll get used to the guys and I'll be like, oh God, it's that guy again. It's the Cookie Monster. He's coming for a discount. Yeah. So they got this TV in, and the guy was like, hey, you're here all the time. We'll knock like 15% off of it too. And I was like, all right. I was like, yeah, I'll grab this. But when I was walking out, which I'll talk about like with the family savings, because my family is built around experiences. And it's not me going to a park. It's again me using different things and everything else that using the system in a way that we do amazing things, but it doesn't really cost me anything. And to buy a TV, first of all, I'm like, is he going to get addicted to it, my son? And then I'm like, how much are we actually going to use it? So everything I buy, is it a need or is it a want? And that's where I'm always like Gollum, where it's like, I'm like, I want this, but then when I walk out, it's, oh, did I really need this? And that's again where you have to separate having money is because when you have two young ones behind you, you have to teach them too when they grow up. Just because their dad's walking in and he can buy whatever he wants, doesn't mean that's what they need to learn. They have to learn how to work hard for that and do what I had to do to become what I am today.
Because you set an example for them and kids of course look up to their parents and they a lot of times a lot of these unspoken money scripts that they can learn just by observing how we go about spending and going about our day-to-day life. You did mention in one of your posts that in terms of your portfolio I'm not sure if it's still the same, but you were mentioning approximately 30% you're invested in the market, and the rest you have some allocation sitting because the market's being at all-time high and some of such consideration. I believe that's what you were referring to. What made you make that decision, and what are your thoughts around essentially how and when you're potentially considering to deploy those funds?
So the biggest thing with myself is I don't have FOMO. There's no emotion in the stock market. When I see somebody go up, it's like, okay, good for you. I look for something else. So for me and my lifestyle, and my wife still works. She's gonna go back to work soon from Mali because she loves working. Me personally, oh my God, no, I do not like working. The thing is, with us, I look at like $3,500 a month right now making. The question is, how much do you actually need to make? The difference is, again, is you have to weigh what is your lifestyle and what you're spending money on. Because do I need to risk a lot of money? Because if I make $7,000, here's the point. Okay, I'll give this a. I'm a big cookie monster. I'm making $10,000 a month. Look at me. Woo! I'm making it all. What does it change? It's just gonna go in my account. I'm already making money off that. And I've already have a mortgage paid off. I have money in the bank. But the difference is how we live our life is my wife has been on mat leave. And everyone knows when you're on mat leave, you don't make a lot of money. We made money during that time. And the difference is that when you look at the risks, I want myself that if an opportunity comes up to me tomorrow, and let's say my buddy comes up and he's like, "Hey, Cookie Monster, let's make a cookie shack." I want to have resources that I can buy into that cookie. The people that I see even on Blossom, I try to tell young investors, don't go all in because as soon as you go all in, you don't have flexibility. If it dips, you sell because you're fear, you're panic, you have nothing else to back you. And you need to make sure that you have opportunity money. People say an emergency fund. I agree with that. But like my wife asked me a long time ago, when is money, how much money is enough? It's never enough. And the difference is you start with an emergency fund, and then you start with an opportunity fund, and then you start with finally a vacation fund, and then you start with another fund. There's your kids fund, your RESP, and then it's like, now it's my kids' college fund. It's that at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, how much do you want to jump into the stock market and go all in, hoping that you're going to succeed when there's so many different opportunities around you that could come up in a second. And that's the biggest thing. So with myself, I'm only 30% invested because honestly, I think me leaving Royal Bank and taking all my assets and all my money over, like I'm not even saying I'm like a trillionaire or anything here. It takes time, like to make smart moves in the market and plan what you want to do. And not my biggest thing is I will never follow. I'll never follow anybody. If somebody tells me to buy something, I'm not buying. That's how I am. Like there's stocks like Ether that was ETHY. Everybody was running from that. Nobody would buy it.
Yeah.
I bought it. I started posting to everyone. I even told Paul. Paul was like, "Oh God, I should sell this." And Paul messaged me, said, "Hey, I'm gonna hold this." And it's like the thing is you need those opportunities. And if you don't have it, I don't know how you're going to invest. Like I bought something today was because I was red on it and I dipped down a little bit and it popped right back up. If I didn't have that money, I'd just be, I might as well just sit on my hands and just do nothing. Like you got to have money, you got to have opportunity no matter what.
So you like to keep your options open, essentially gives you more of an optionality and choice of how you want to deploy it, whether it's the stock market, whether it's other opportunities, that gives you that choice. For the portion that you have already invested, so let's say that we're talking about that 30% now, how do you describe overall your investment approach and style? Particularly, I'm interested like the 3,500 or so dividend income that is coming. What's our sort of funds? Are they mostly dividend producing stocks? Is it more of a ETFs? Is it REITs? Is it cover call?
With myself, like I'll be honest, like I'm very smart with money, but investing, I'm a cookie monster train wreck. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like, so what my thing is like being in Royal Bank, and when I was trading small cap stocks, penny stocks, I'm talking about like 10-cent stocks. Like I'm talking about like I owned like Green when COVID hit. I bought at 20 cents and it went up to almost $2. When you're in Royal Bank and a fee costs you $10 to
Yeah.
trade, you have to go all in every time. It's like you're like, I got this, and you go all in. You're like biting your nails. You're like freaking out because you're like, oh God, it's gonna go down. It's gonna go down. So the difference is how I build my portfolio is what how Royal Bank was. I look at Royal Bank and they give me like mutual funds and like, I'm not even gonna try saying the word because people have corrected me, even my wife, with MER or Mayor or blah blah blah. I'm gonna call it MER.
Yeah.
When I
That's
was
how I
had a
call it.
Yeah, there you go. So when I was in like a portfolio of Royal Bank, um, they kept telling me how amazing I was doing. And I kept seeing at the end every year, I made 11%, but my MER was
Hmm.
like 2.36. And it
Wow.
was like, wow, this is terrible. And so when I came into Wealth Simple turned around and I was like, holy, I can buy one share and it cost me nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, ding, ding, ding. I was like,
Sign me
"Ooh,"
up.
I was all excited. Yeah. So what I wanted to do first was growth. Like I wanted growth and balance. I wanted something that was gonna give me stability in my portfolio because you got so many cover calls and you got, all these different things that everyone's talking about, like REITs and like going gold. And then Jared's like, go into Bitcoin, go into Bitcoin. But it's like, at the end of the day, you need something to you have that stability. So that to me is FEQT. And that's why I bought a good chunk of it because that's something I'm never going to touch. If it goes down, it goes up. This is something that I'm going to ride for the next 20 years, 30 years. Maybe I don't even make 30 years. Maybe I eat too many cookies. I don't know. The difference is that's the difference of what I needed with that time.
Hmm.
And also the great thing is that Christmas time with that dividend, what a great way to celebrate Christmas where you almost get like free gifts on from Fidelity for here's like 900 and some bucks. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
thank you very much. So that's really nice. That's one thing that I needed. And then like as a rookie, like when I was jumping into ETFs, everyone's like telling me like, seeing different things and I was buying different things. I just got to a point that I was like, I like certain ones, like with Harvest, with NVIDIA. I love it. I rode that since day one. When it went down a little bit, like when it fell in April, I didn't have that many shares, but then I bought a lot at the low. I've opted a bit, and making a 22-cent dividend on that is great. And then most of my other stuff is just all in once, like Harvest, uh, HIS, yeah, HHIS, yeah, that's
Yeah.
weird.
That's a
Yeah,
popular one.
so
It seems like I'm bluffing,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah, and then like just stuff like that. Like I've just built it up, like MSTE, I got UTS, I got some C Day. Everyone keeps telling me I should load what I have on Blossom, but it's just I don't know. I like being secret. I like being a little secret. I don't that's who I am. But yeah, I just have slowly built with Snowball. That's an app that you can see. That's great that you build up that dividend. And yeah, I just have slowly went from like $100 dividend to like 500 to like 1,000. And the biggest thing is I'm gonna tell everyone this, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, Cookie Monster's crazy. He's crazy." This whole drip program, this whole thing of dripping into it, do not do it. I don't care if 10 million people tell me I get that money And then what I do is I look for opportunities with that money. The thing is, you can drip that into that every single month. That's fine. But like if something again, like I said, having money on the side is an opportunity. Like Tesla went down to like nothing as an ETF in Harvest. I bought it for nothing and I used the dividend money. So if you're just going to drop and keep putting that money into those you have, again, there's no opportunity there. If it falls, then that money was just going to be sitting there. I call it sandbagging in small cap stocks. As soon as you go down, I don't care how much you make off the dividends, being down is still down. You want to be in that green or just close to the green. Right now, I'm getting my butt kicked by MSTE, but I have held Misty and then MSTE from the start. So yes, I've made a lot of dividends, but you're also giving a lot of that back right now. So that's the only difference is that you just want to make sure that you're going on like screeners and looking at ETF screeners and looking at different ways to invest. And then when you get that dividend, see if there's some other opportunities, like even Cozy today, Costco ETF on Harvest. Costco got hammered today, and Cozy fell. It's like at $9.30, like 10-cent dividend, probably very stable now. And it's a great thing to just make a little bit of money. Like it's a great investment. Buying it at like $14, maybe not, but nine something now, great investment.
So you try to look for opportunities. Essentially, even with the distributions that you get, you don't just automatically drip it, and rather assess: is that the time to buy something? Could be the same, but could be also some totally another pick. And if not, maybe no rush. And that's why probably you're saying you only invested around 30% of your
Yeah,
positions, holdings, right? So that's actually
yeah,
goes very nice along with that. Uh,
yeah.
Bitcoin. I know you are have started at least on a regular basis investing in it, and at some point even mentioned that you were thinking even potentially having some of that investment for your kids each month. What made you consider Bitcoin? How did you get thinking about it, and why investing now?
Unfortunately, Jared is a bad influence. That's what it is. You're a bad influence, man. No, honestly, again, like I said to everyone, if you guys, so my investments, I have like penny stocks, I have ETFs, I have regular stocks, I have some crypto now, I have gold and silver like in hand. The thing is if you're just sitting there buying ETFs, you want to make sure you're taking every opportunity you can. Like, am I going to go buy 60 grand worth of Bitcoin? Heck no. But to load like 150 or $200 a month into Bitcoin, some people might be like, oh, that's a waste of time to do that. Or they might not like Bitcoin. But here's the difference. I'll go to the very first part of the interview. What makes more sense? Paying $600 for a second car you don't need, or $250 in an investment like Bitcoin that has the opportunity to, with AI and everything, go like to $1 million one day. So the difference is if I see an opportunity and if it's Jared that's telling me to buy it, that's fine. And I like H bar way better. It's a cool nickname. H bar looks way better. But the thing is, you got to take every opportunity. Like in small caps, I have a certain investment that I posted on Blossom that I bought in super cheap. It's now over $1.49. It's a great investment. Am I selling it? No, it's going to stay. And that's the difference is like on some of my small caps, I make way more money than on ETFs. But if somebody looked at me and said, hey, Cookie Monster, I want to get into small caps. You got years and years to learn that you buy an ETF and people are like, oh, it's going to go to zero. When you buy a small, especially penny stock, you have to know like outstanding shares. You have to know who is insider holding. You have to know their financials. You have to know how to read them. You have to be able to look at every basically perimeter of a business. And that's what I take to ETFs is that when I see something totally bang down and I look at it and I'm like, this makes no sense. Like, why nobody's buying this? I'm like, hey, I'll buy it. I'll be the first one and I'll take the profit. And that's the biggest thing for me is just having way different assets. And that's why for me on Blossom, it's so hard for me to break down all these different assets because like it's just there's so many different things that I'm in, and that's what I want to keep carrying on. So like any investor out there, don't just be like this and be like, your eyes shut that I'm gonna just buy dividend ETFs and I'm gonna become a millionaire. That's not how you do it. You want to build wealth in different areas and make sure you keep building that.
Is it fair to say one thing I took away from that as well is that you know your risk tolerance? Is that fair to say you know your risk tolerance? And like, for example, that's why you're investing in penny stock. But you did mention as well, it may not be for everybody. So know your risk tolerance. Don't limit yourself per se only to what you are currently doing and what you know. Try to learn. Maybe there's other opportunities out there for you. Doesn't mean that it's for everybody. You got to know your risk tolerance, but get comfortable with it and then make essentially educated guess not guess what's the term, educated risks, I would say, right? Calculated
Well,
risk.
Well, I think the biggest thing too, and anybody can reach out to me that wants to understand this. But one thing we started when COVID started was again, my lovely wife, that's an awesome wife in the row. I'm going to say that again, or else she'll kill me. But the thing is, she built like a spreadsheet, and every single day we track our money. So we show how much money we have in all of our accounts, and it gives us a total every single day. And why this was very important was about 6 months ago, Well Simple lost $5,000 of us. They were like, no, you guys are wrong. But we tracked our money every single day and we showed them, and they put the money back. They even sent us a coffee basket, everything else to make up for it, some money and
It's
everything
very
else.
good that you were on top of it.
But if we don't have that, we would have had nothing. And the cool thing with Excel sheets is when you do it, you can build a little graph and you can
Yeah,
build this graph. So when we went like COVID, where everyone's like, yeah, I'm making millions of dollars. And then when COVID in, everybody took a dip down. And when you're watching that graph and you're checking it every day, when people are talking about red days and, oh my God, I got to sell because blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting back having coffee because it's like I look at my graph and I'm like, okay, wow, big deal. Like it's when you start understanding and you start seeing that on paper, you start looking at it and you're like, okay, when COVID hit, holy moly, I lost
I've seen
lots.
worse. Yeah,
But then you're seeing it now and you're like, well, these are just dips and they're
yeah.
ETFs. Like ETFs is not something you're going to lose billions of dollars on. It's just not what they're designed to do. So if you're in a penny stock and you bought it for 20 cents and you put $80,000 in it, it goes to 2 cents. Yeah, I'd be pooping my pants. I'd be like, oh man, I'm in trouble. So like, it's a different way of investing. But again, just like we do with this for expenses, you should be doing the same thing with your money. Because if you're not tracking, you're not seeing how it works. I don't know what somebody's doing. You have to see that, no
So
matter what.
powerful, super important. How much of the comfort level that you have with your current lifestyle, with your current ability to sit relax in terms of like not having to have FOMO essentially as you pointed out, as well as also your optionality and choice that you have, Colin. Like, you don't have to work like and with your wife even being on mat leave most recently. How much of that do you attribute to your success in having paid down your mortgage already, essentially, because which is for many Canadians and for many investors, for many families, that's one of their major cost elements. And on top of that, having optimized your other cost elements, how much of that you associate to that?
Well, so the biggest thing that like, okay, I'm not going to get political here, and I know a lot of people are very strong about this, but the problem in life is that people don't. What's that Scotiabank commercial? You don't know how
Oh,
much
you're
money
richer
you
than what
have.
you think?
Then richer than what
Yeah.
they. What people don't understand is that there's no one there to help you. Like there's no one gonna be there and be like, "Hey Mo, you made like $60,000. Here you go, buddy, cookie man. Here you go." It's not what happens. And the difference is that like what I've learned in my life is FOMO is the matrix. I know people say it. I don't really say it, but it's an imaginary world. We have friends that look like they're Gucci all the time. It's like, whoa, look at them. They're Gucci, but they're poor. They don't have money. And people that are speaking about FOMO, and you see these people with like game, and they're like, oh, I put all this money in there and everything else. Tons of people lost everything in that. And the difference is again, like I said to you, there's people in this world that if I say to them, would you ever take a bus? They'll say no. With me, because it's not to them, it's an image. It's what people see in them. With
I hear you.
me, I don't care if people look at me on the street and I'm homeless. Like there's some people, I've had people come up to me that I've taken my son to school for over like a year until we started homeschooling. And this one person walks up because I walk like so much every day for to make sure I feel good and stuff. And they just think I'm an unemployed guy that just walks. And they're like, "Do you just walk for a living?" I'm like, "Sure do." Like it's great, sure. But the thing is like almost for me, it's just dumb. Like at the end of the day, like if people are showing you FOMO, it's probably fake. And if somebody is saying like, I have a $5 million this or 5 million this, I bet you $10 if you put your expenses and your money against that person, I bet you're
You're better
richer
off.
than that person. There and like I forget the guy that has a famous podcast, but he's an older guy and he has a podcast and he has like a beard and stuff. But he had people that I was listening, I forget his name, but he had people the other day.
Are you talking Dave Ramsey or
Yeah,
no?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah,
He had a lady on his show that they were two doctors and they made over $400,000 each a year, okay, as doctors. And he asked them how much debt they had. And she said, we have over $2.8 million and we have no money. And he asked, how does that even happen? And he said that we got caught up in trying to be the Joneses and
yeah.
we kept buying and buying and buying. And the difference with me is anybody that knows me, I love my kids. My kids are everything to me. And the only people that I care that what they think of me is my kids. That's all I care. I don't care if they see somebody down the road driving a Lamborghini and I'm riding a bike. At the end of the day, my kids know that I love them, and that's all it is. So FOMO for me doesn't even make sense. In my world, whatever I do in my life to make my family's life better, that's all that's important to me. That's it.
I can imagine how liberating it can be for sure, because you're not trying to impress anybody, or you're living your best life. You are true to yourself, not feeling, you essentially not worried about how others are going to judge you or whatnot, and rather being there for your family. And I love earlier on you pointed out, and maybe if you don't mind sharing some of those, if you're comfortable, you did mention that, within your life still you want to make sure you have the best experiences, like, in moments that, memory dividends, I think it's in one of the books, Dive Zero, I believe that's from that book, that they talk about memory dividends, like, you don't want to also just save for the sake of it, but not really enjoying your life or having those memories that years later you can reflect back and say, hey, you know what, remember that thing that we did, that travel that we did, and you relive them so many times that in fact it pays so much dividends in memories back to you. So that's fantastic. Sorry, that was my comment on that. Is that something that you're comfortable enough sharing? Maybe if you had to share one or two experiences that you've really enjoyed. Doesn't mean that it has to cost much, but maybe something that you're comfortable
Oh
sharing.
no. Oh yeah. So this is again where my life is. I tell my wife all the time, it's like an onion. You got to peel it and stuff like that. And the biggest thing right now is so everybody that I like movies because of my kids. There's a movie that's called Up, and it's on Disney. It's with an old guy that puts the
Yes,
balloons on the
yeah,
roof and
yes,
shoots up. And there's the little Boy Scout that
yes.
in the movie he lost his dad. And the old guy asked him and said, "What do you remember? And do you remember big things?" And the little kid said, "All I remember is getting ice cream with my dad." And that's what he remembered. So he didn't remember all the big things. So the biggest thing is again, is learning in life and like asking questions. So one thing that we love doing is we love museums, zoos, different things. Like I posted about the Calgary Zoo. So one thing is like I went to the Edmonton Tells World of Science and I said, "Yeah, I want to get a family membership." And they're like, "Okay." And I'm like, "Is there any perks? Like, is there any perks with this thing?" And they're like, "Yeah, we have a perk that's called the ASTC." And I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Maybe it gets me free parking or something." We learned really fast. And this is a tip. Parents, this is one of the tips. Ding, ding, ding. Is this gets you in anywhere in North America, any museum for free, any aquarium, except for maybe a couple of the bigger ones. So like we went to Seattle and we went to all these different museums and one of the children's museum was $160. I walked in, showed my Tells World of Science pass, and they're like, "Have fun, sir.
No
Free
way.
pass."
Wow. What a
So
great
the
tip.
thing is we go to like Minneapolis, for example,
Yeah.
and we went to 5 museums. And like everyone's like, "That can't be that." When you go to a United States museum, first of all, they're insane. There are huge amounts of cost. But the thing is y- you walk in, it's free. So you got to go to a children's museum. You got to go to a history museum. You got to go to an aquarium. So parents go to me and say, "How much money do you spend on a vacation?" Well, again, on all these activities, I spend nothing. So the thing is, like, so one thing that I take a lot of pride in, like that Up movie, is here's the key of my life. So my kids are everything. My son homeschools, so I can give him more attention and help him more in school. He plays in organized sports. He gets to go do tons of fun things like going to like swimming lessons to he goes to like a ninja obstacle thing and all these different things. But one thing that I take from that pride of that Up movie is I have every meal in my life right now with my kids. Breakfast, lunch, dinner,
That's so
snacks,
awesome.
everything. And one day I'm going to be a lot older and they're going to be older and I'm going to wish they were here. And that's one thing that I look at, that the life I built is, again, it's not about the rich stuff. It's about that stuff that I get to enjoy. But that's the thing. So like my kids on a Monday, on a Wednesday, get to go to a zoo. They get to go anywhere they want. And it only cost me $210 for a Space and Science Pass. Same thing as a zoo. You get a Calgary Zoo pass, which we live in Edmonton. We got the pass and we head down to Calgary, but also we got free zoo for Seattle, free zoo for Minneapolis, all these different
That's
places. So
amazing. I didn't know that. That's so fantastic.
So the difference again, when everybody's spending all this money wherever they can
Yeah.
do for kids, we're sitting back and
Oh,
like,
I love that. How smart that is. Like, you're essentially being so smart about your money and in doing so, not really cutting out on any of those experiences of life. In fact, you're being so smart about it that you're providing your family, your kids, a lot more opportunities and experiences than many other parents would typically do. And while many other parents may think about like, oh, here's maybe a gadget and whatnot, but rather you're trying to think, okay, how can I spend more time with my kids? How can I go do these activities with them? One thing that stood out for me, I don't know if Colin, you've read that article or heard about it, the tail end, whereby they talk about it's almost like an illustrative way of talking about how in life there's those moments that go by very quickly, and one of them being like the time that you spend with your kids up until the age that they typically they reach the age of I think 15 or 18. You pretty much have the opportunity to spend 85% of the time that you have with them, and after that it's just so little left because they are likely going to move out of the house and whatnot. And how amazing that is for you that you have this choice because of your smart decision to be able to maximize on that. So I just absolutely love that. That's super
Awesome.
super powerful. Yeah. Hey, I know I've taken quite a bit of your time, so maybe one or two final quick questions. I have two
Sure.
from the Blossom community. I know the fun one, so let's go in there.
Okay.
Then I have one more of a formal one at the end. So I
Okay.
know Sarah was asking, what's your favorite cookie brand, type, or recipe? I had to ask that.
Oh yeah, so I didn't want to say it on there, but honestly, like if my wife was standing here right now, there'd be like a gun right here. So I'm gonna say whatever my wife makes, because
Yes,
if I
yes.
don't, then I'm a dead cookie monster. So
And I'm
set
sure homemade cookies are the best, and they're made with TLC for
yeah,
sure.
it's the best. Yeah, no, for sure.
You touch on that to some extent indirectly. And I think what they mean by that, by confirmation bias, essentially is that, somebody may be on Blossom talking about, hey, I'm buying this one, I'm buying this one, and so many other people may just blindly go and buy the same thing because so and so said that. What's your take on it? It seems like you don't follow that necessarily as much.
No, so well, like everybody that follows me, they know I say straight up, I don't follow anybody. Because like if I'm following, and like no offense, like even everybody, like XCQT, 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 and I was like, hey, that means I'm going somewhere else. Because again, when you're coming from the penny stocks, if people are talking about boom, 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 how good something is, it's not good. That's when you run and you're like, I'm gonna live in a cardboard box. Like that's where you run. So the biggest thing is even I'm trying to remember the one that you asked me. Is it yeah, ECHI?
Yeah,
And that's
yeah. The 9 points one.
so here's a perfect example. So okay, so everybody's talking about certain ETFs all the time online. And it's like you should buy this, you should buy this, you should buy this. MSTE is a big one. And a lot of people ask me about it. And I see people that keep saying they're gonna buy, they're gonna buy, they're gonna buy. But the problem is that I've said many times now, I'm not selling because I use it for income, but I'm not buying anymore because it's not an opportunity right now for me. So with ECHI, that I've watched the manager's videos and I know they're fairly new ETFs, and I know a lot of people are like, I don't really want to buy that. But it has the Canadian allocation that has a lot of, I think it's 9 or 10 companies. It's very unknown and I like it. It's kind of almost like UTS when everybody was like, I don't want to buy this. And I kept saying, I like this. And that's the difference is with people that will just like keep buying a dip, which Jay is talking about on there. And him and I are what's the commercial, the YouTube where, oh, we're gonna call it Cookie Bowl because I guess he's bull, whatever it is, but he's trying to speak on that people will follow one person or like 40 people that will keep saying buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. But the problem is that in everywhere around MicroStrategy, everyone's talking about that it's not a good thing and it's not going to be a good thing. And even if Bitcoin shoots up another $40,000, it's the CEO of that company that's like, I look at it is he's kind of funding the company in like a kind of shady way. I'm not a big fan of it, but the difference is in the sense is that's what Jay's talking about. Just don't keep buying dips. Don't keep buying these dips and hoping it's going to go back up. Hold what you hold and observe not just the positive. You want to observe the negative and then make a decision. But there's like, I make a joke every month. It's like, holy cow, we should load another 600 ETFs. Like, we need more
Yeah.
guys. There's other opportunities. So, again, like, if you ever have questions, reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. But the difference is, don't just keep buying something because 25 people on Blossom are screaming to buy it. And that's why I keep saying you got to do your due diligence. I'm just showing what I'm buying. I'm not saying buy it. That's it. So That's the biggest thing with that. You just got to make sure that you're not falling into almost like a dip trap because take it from me, you buy something and then you have to sandbag on that for 18 months. And if that's all the money you have, that's rough. Like you won't even
Mm,
want to come back to investing. So you just want to make sure you're protecting yourself, but listen to the negative too, and make sure you're reading real articles, real stuff, not on forums, not on chats. Look at real things. Use AI, use every resource you have, then make that decision.
super important reminder. Like, keep an open mind, do your due diligence, and just don't blindly follow the crowd. I must circle back to this point though. I know Carr, myself, and a few other blossomers, we do invest in XCQT, and we do definitely post on that. To be honest with you though, I don't know if I think I've mentioned in a few of the posts as well, as much as we love this XCQT, honestly is you, from my perspective, and I know from Carr's perspective as well, you replace that with technically any of those EQT, FEQT, just like what you have, ZEQT, HEQT. There's so many variations of those. They are good products to consider. At the end of the day, we are never ever gonna say to anybody, go buy this. It's just like sometimes I feel like with these funds, you're investing broadly in the entire stock market. For somebody who either doesn't have the time to do a lot of research, just like what you mentioned, like you have done a lot of that, or for somebody who maybe is not just interested, or maybe doesn't want to go figure out, or maybe absolute beginner, could be good funds to do research on. It's still honestly never ever we would mention to anybody, go just buy. And I try to even be very careful about that, because there are definitely many folks reach out to you, through DMs and whatnot. Hey, what should I buy? Never ever it's that consideration, and more so around
No,
educate yourself, right? You try to learn, know your risk tolerance, familiarize yourself, and then you know what you're going to get yourself into.
well, and the last point I'll just say, all
Yeah,
those funds you just said that are all in one, when I started at the very start, the reason I bought FEQT, it's a bank. The difference is all those funds is basically, I bet you 90% of the banks, when you walk into a bank and say, I want to invest in a balanced fund, they're probably buying one of those. So
yeah,
the
bro.
difference is that is what you're buying in those funds. That's for somebody that wants to invest a certain amount of money and just sit back and let it grow. And like the last thing, like I know this was one other question you had, Mo, was that what would you recommend to young investors or people like that?
100%.
I'm going to say this to everyone right now. It's not a race. At the end of the day, I keep hearing from even videos you have, Mo, that people are like, put $10,000 down or do this or do that. And I'm not saying nothing bad about those people. It's just they're in a different position, so they can maybe put that money down. The difference is even talking to one of my family members that don't have a lot of money, $20 a week or two Starbucks. Put it in XEQT, put it in FEQT. If you don't understand investing, but it's not a race. You don't need to catch up to like me or like a Paul or even a Mo or even a Joe Blow from Idaho. Like you don't need to catch up. You're in your own journey. There's no FOMO. You're not losing out. You just got to take your time. That's the biggest.
I mean, on that note, I think you wrapped it up so perfectly that I'm not gonna ask actually any other question, because you perfectly summed it up, and goes back to knowing yourself, knowing your why you're investing, and ultimately being comfortable with it. We all see a lot of posts on Blossom. Use that as a motivation, but never ever use that as like feeling bad about, but I don't have this much, but I don't have enough. That's not about that. Like, if anything we took out from this conversation is how, by making smart money decisions, not only you would be able to build a beautiful life in terms of being financially in a fantastic spot, but also enjoy what life has to offer. Like, this is a prime example of that. So thank you so much for accepting my invite. I never expected to have such a conversation full of like all the different terms with the Cookie Monster, I must say. This definitely turned out to be the best conversation with the cookie. So thank you so
Nice.
much.
And Mo, just one last thing, one fast thing for all my cookie gang. I did have milk
Oh, there you
and I
go.
did have a cookie, but my son stole it while I was on this video. So there you
I
go.
love that. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
accepting my invite coming on the show. I really, really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you very much. See you later, everyone.